Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second round of the Competitive Series 2023 Top 12 Tournament. This match coming up is going to be between KDCM 17, the Q Dodgers, and Casterian's Guards. KDCM entered this tournament via the third place finish in the top 4 seeding phase. That's a number of words there. Their first match in the top 12 proper is against Casterian's Guards, who are fresh off a victory against another KDCM team, KDCM 18 Saturday Night Specials. So, will Casterian Guards begin a winning streak against KDCM teams, or will the Q Dodgers avenge their special friends? We'll find out soon. I'm Ivor, and with me is Therex, who is casting on MWO Leagues 2. Go check that out for a different point of view.
Yeah, looking to do a little bit of an experiment on MWO Leagues 2 today, where we will be streaming in first person, hopefully mixed with the main spectator view as well. A little bit something different for anyone who's interested in seeing.
Yeah, and also with us right now is Ghosty from Equilibrium, here to talk us through some maps and run us through a little bit of a pregame show, talking about maybe what we'll see from these two teams, and also giving us some vital wisdom on Vitric Forge. So heading on over to the map room, and I'll turn it over to you, Ghosty.
Yeah. So as for what I would expect from KSG and KDCM, I would say they're both interesting teams. They're both flexible teams, but if I had to place a bet, I would say KDCM is going to be similar to what we saw in the last match that KDCM's B team and KSG played. That KDCM is going to be a bit more pushy, and KSG is probably already going to be set up for that. As for Vitric, it's one of the new maps that was introduced, I think, last year to the game. And it's a very interesting map competitively because it plays differently from pretty much every other map in the pool. It is really hard. You do get your home caps for free, but controlling Theta is really hard if you're not inside of this square. And you're also not able to just sit back and hold your caps. It's very hard to get Overwatch on caps. So you kind of have to play caps by putting mechs on them instead of putting mechs away from them, shooting people that are trying to capture them. So what ends up happening is that these ramps in the center are the most contested area. But if you're trying to just sit here and be static, you're very open to a full SRM team just walking up and rushing you. So it becomes a very dynamic map wherein you have to kind of play back, see if they, like, what kind of deck they are. Then if they have a bit more trade than you have to move up. If they don't, you don't. And it's the kind of playstyle where skirmish lights like the Shadowcat really flourish. So you end up getting all of these angles from here, out on the sides that just shoot into basically the main forces, like the assault mechs that have moved up. And I would say the Shadowcat's probably the most important mech on this map, just because of that.
Interesting. We've also, just as a thought, or I guess a prompt in this case, on the, I don't know what we would call them, the pillars around Theta there, way up top, we've seen some mislinks or some Viper play. What's your thought on the value of that?
It's really good if teams push over, because you end up, you have a high likelihood of getting ignored if you're up there. And a lot of brawl mechs won't have enough jump jets to get up to you, so they have to focus other targets. And it also can give you the good scouting information. But I think we've also seen that those mechs do end up getting shot sometimes, and it can be a risky position to play. But I think in general, because this map plays so dynamically and you have to adapt to what your enemy is doing, going up high, getting early scouting is one of the most important things you can do.
That makes sense. I like to hear it as someone who likes to play those high jumping mechs. Let's see. So you kind of talked about pushing or receiving. Can you talk a little bit more about what seems to be the way to receive on this map? Obviously, if you're pushing
So
from one, that's one way to talk. But how do you play on the other side of something that you can't necessarily control?
the main way to receive is that you stack up on. Let me erase a little bit. You stack up on one of these corners here. So there's giant buildings on your like, home side. So you stack up on one of the corners, and you essentially just take 3 mechs, stack them together, and peek out 2 people as they come through these open lanes. And also, whenever they jump up, and because you're right against the wall, they can't swarm you, which is the best way a brawl can win is if they get completely around you and you can't leg shield, you can't even torso twist anymore, because no matter which way you look, you're gonna be backshot by someone. So, in general, the way to push receive is almost always put the enemy mechs in front of you and don't let them get on top of you and surround you. Even if they're 20 meters away, if they're 20 meters away and they can't actually get to 5 meters away, then I would still say Laser Vomit can very often win against a push deck.
Okay, so following that up, you said you have 2 mechs peeking out. What's that third mech doing?
Oh, so the third mech is like, I think we've done this before where it's for us it's been a Highlander, a Marauder, and then a Crusader. So the third mech is also peeking with them, but realistically it's very easy to get 2 mechs peeking off of each other around a corner. And the third mech kind of, most of the time it's the Crusader, it doesn't get shot as much, it can pop tart over, it can like, shoot people that are overexposing. But the Crusader, again, is like, probably your most valuable mech, because it, in a push receive, because it has so much DPS for its tonnage, so that you kind of want to protect it.
Cool. And sort of to flip that on the receive, how would you push on this map just to cover multiple strats? So, you know, we've received the push, we've talked about spots where you want to cover. If you were gonna push, what would your ideal pathing be? Because we've seen a bunch of paths. We've seen people come over the top here. We've seen people use the ramps or some combination of the two. What are your thoughts on maybe the best way to accomplish a push?
So I'd do one of those 2 paths. I'd walk out on the left side because this ramp goes up this way and this ramp goes up that way. So you want to go left, because then if they're in the middle, you can just run up the ramp. And if they're not, you jump up all of your light mechs back here, and if you have decently fast Daka mechs, you can push them over the middle, which then their mechs get stuck here and get shot by mid-range and have like brawl mechs on them. You can't really get your assault mechs fast enough to do the what we call the Mario jump, which is this jump right here.
Okay, yeah.
It's called the Mario jump because when we first practiced it, it was very common that people would like stomp on top of each other and just push each other back down.
Yeah, it's something that looks like it takes a fair bit of coordination to pull off, that Mario jump. I love the evolution of this map, how it's played on brawl rushes. But my team itself has not been brave enough to attempt the Mario jump yet without any practice.
I think there's been like very early on when we did it, there was some experimentation with just going up with your mechs right to the ledge and just like stopping them from getting on the ledge and just fall back down.
I think the first time I saw it,
it
was a KDCM pulling it off with an Intersphere Coalition in Season 5 back in February. And I believe at that time they were just jumping up from level ground on either side or something. It wasn't quite as dedicated and focused as the current Mario jump, but I believe that was the first time I saw it. So I'm crediting KDCM as having developed the jump, but I don't know if somebody else was using it first. It's just the first time I personally saw it.
I think from my knowledge, it definitely came out in ISC, but I know that
We as a team also made it up without
seeing it.
Looked at KDCM matches.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that we have like invented it, because I actually don't know. I have a feeling a lot of teams, since it was the first time the map was in the map pool, just came up with it.
Yeah, it's possible for
simultaneously.
two separate groups to organically come up with the same strategy at the same time. But for myself, that was the first time I saw it, and it was something completely brand new to me at the time.
But also this favors into why I drew the receive mechs over here, is because you don't want to have your receive mechs on the right side, because then the optimal brawl path is better against you. So you'd want to be on the opposite side, so you still have these 400 meters. So what we now see is that teams very often actually go under here a little bit when they're still safe, once they know you're sitting back to receive, and they jump up the right side instead, so that they get closer to you without getting shot.
Secondary adaptation, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting watching this map evolve in competitive play, how teams have played it. It really feels like a map where there isn't a whole lot of variance that you can do. The map's relatively narrow, which limits your flank options. It's almost symmetrical, dominated by the central ramps. So it kind of feels limited tactically what can be done, but we are seeing mechs use the side flanks effectively, and this jump here, which is, you know, at the beginning people were just kind of just rushing over the ramps, at least in the divisions I was playing in, and so it's good to see some alternative options of play come out on this map.
I will say I didn't like the map when I first saw it. I didn't like it for comp, because it kind of superimposes, or like imposes the limit of only being able to play some kind of mid-range or brawl. You cannot really play a lot of fast mechs and cap strat, and you can't really pull off an ER large deck.
Yeah, I would
But
prefer.
then in the way you play those mid-range decks, it is so flexible that I actually think it's a pretty good map.
I prefer maps with a little bit more, you know, side where you can run a bit more flank. There are flanks that are run on here, but it's a map where I see it as being fairly difficult to back cap just because of the dominance of the central high point map features and then the relatively narrow width of the map. But we have seen some teams playing low ground on this map as opposed to playing high ground, trying to do a 3-cap control on you know, taking their 2 home caps, then taking one of the opponent's home caps. But typically high ground is just the way to play, and in this map the high ground is all centrally located.
Yeah.
All right, I have to bump in here. I'm sorry to cut in, but we are ready for ban.
All right.
Well, Casterian gives the go, so I'm gonna swap us over. Feel free to continue chatting for a little bit in between, but I'm gonna swap us over to the ban site as we get ready.
I hope we see Vitrek today then.
we will see. This will be interesting.
Yeah, so it's best of 5 for anyone joining us not familiar with the format. So we will see at least 3 maps, potentially all 5. You know, it's 5v5 conquest, and these teams are actually not banning maps; they're picking maps. So first map chosen will be the first map played. I guess we should talk about the teams here a little bit. KDCM 17 Q Dodgers. The name is a reference to how they got into the MechWarrior Online Championships 2023. They qualified through the invitationals that took place back in August. And a little bit of an upset win there over the 5th Jaguar Dragoons, who were favored in that match. So they managed to dodge the queue, and they are now here facing against Casterian's Guards, who qualified through the comp queue, and they were I think it was a 10th seed. I don't have that information in front of me right now. Pull that up.
8th seed
Well,
in the invitational?
oh, Casterian Guards,
After people declined?
They didn't qualify through the
Yes, but
invitational.
they were invited as the 8th team.
Yes, they did not. They did not succeed at their challenge. They had to come through the comp queue. So Casterian Guards is a team that's been around a couple of years. KDCM's got a little bit of a longer history than that. And I've got it right here. Casterian Guards actually was the 6th seed coming out of the comp queue. So they played a fair number of games and they managed to push their way up toward the top. Have they started their bans yet, or map
They
selection?
should have. I have given. There we go. Vitric Station first.
Ah, great.
Just showed up. Ooh, then Mining, then Crimson. I'm gonna double check the logs on this just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Then Polar. Hibernal.
I'm just pulling that up on my
Mining,
screen now.
Crimson, Polar, Hibernal, Team 1. For Vitric.
Yeah, so starting things off on Vitric Station, the map that we were talking about earlier. Mining Collective, another map that can be played effectively as Brawl. Can also be played range. Be interesting to see what teams elect to go with there. Crimson Strait's a little bit wider open. Caps start to come into play a little bit more in that larger map, but it's also a very brawlable map, contesting the island's popular strategy. Polar Highlands as the fourth map. Be interesting to see that. We have not seen a whole lot of matches played on Polar Highlands yet. A lot of options that can be played on there, including cap type strategies, and Hibernal Rift as the fifth and decider. It's a fairly popular map, Hibernal Rift. Basically a remake of the old Canyon Network. Very popular, heavily used competitive map.
All right. So we have two swaps.
Yeah. They're later on.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. That'll keep things nice and easy to start off. In terms of, yeah, so Team 2 is going to be KDCM for the first three, which makes Castellan Guards Team 1 for the first three drops, and then we'll see if we get into drop 4 and 5.
All right, our sides are complete. I'm going to head us back to the map. Ghosty, I don't know if you guys want to continue your conversation from before while we get started.
Well, what do you guys think these teams are going to do?
I'm expecting KDCM to do the Mario strat. They're well known for brawling. I know they can do some other things as well, but this is a map that is very brawlable, and I would expect them to do what they're known for. That said, so do Castellan Guards. I'm assuming they would make the same assumptions I do, and they might have prepared something for it. I would not be shocked to see a brawl versus brawl here, though, where both teams elect to take a brawl deck and see if they can out-brawl their opponents.
Brawl versus Brawl is always really interesting on this map because you end up kind of meeting each other on the low ground on Theta, and it's this really awkward fight that you kind of never get with other combinations of decks.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could go Brawl, but mix in one ranged mech to force them to jump up to you, but again, they could just take caps at that point and force you to come down to Theta. I don't know. I mean, I would love to see the Brawl versus Brawl. I'm not very familiar with Castellan's Guards, their play styles and all of that. It's somewhat of a mystery to me. But
I think KSG is not a team that is very likely to brawl, but I think they're pretty good at receiving brawl pushes, so it's still going to be very interesting to see.
One of the things that stands out to me with Castellan Guards is their off-meta deck choices and build choices. They've run some things that I wouldn't consider to be optimal builds, but they're making it work. So Be interesting to see if they can keep doing that here as the competition heats up a little bit. They start facing off against better and better teams as they go on in the tournament. So a little bit of a wild card. Now, last time Castrian Guards, they were running some mechs in the side flank location. I think it was a Mokar in the Shadowcat, mid-range Vomit Shadowcat,
Yes.
and the Red goes to Faster in a Hunchback 2CA, which is a very powerful medium clan mech, but you don't see it very often competitive right now because there's more of a focus on mobility. But very powerful mech, and if you get those into this side high ground location, shooting in on the side of a brawl, but again, this brawl path that's been drawn is away from the high ground location where that Shadowcat would have the angles, and Hunchback would take too long to get up there. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't have a very large impact on this particular Mario jump path. Now, if an adaptation could be made playing in another region of the map, maybe that comes more into play, but
I'd love to be able to play the Hunchy on this map. I think I'm like arguably the most fanatic Hunchy enthusiast.
I love the Hunchback 2CA, but the drop decks that my team has been running in ComQ, it doesn't fit.
Yeah,
it just doesn't do what we're doing. And I don't think that the mech is weak, it just doesn't fit the meta.
I think every time we go over a drop deck change, I go to the team and go like, hey, can I play a Hunchy?
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's that good on this map.
It's
a Laser Vomit mech nowadays because the PPC build really falls apart. So
well, it can be run with PPCs and small pulse backup. It's like a hybrid bracket build.
Yes, but compared to other hybrid PPC builds, it's now no longer the best at anything.
It is a little bit fragile playing that kind of Pop-Tart role compared to some of its peers. But if you're running into a brawl team and you wanted to bring one ranged element, maybe that's the mech you could, or well, okay, you obviously bring the Shadowcat with the mid-range Vomit, but like as a secondary, you could have your assaults then focus more in the brawl receive, and have the Pop-Tart Hunchback force the push. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if they're going to bring that Hunchback 2CA, but it's
bring
something
up
that
an alternative. Huntsman P with 2 PPCs and 4 SRM6s is just what the Hunchy does in that case, but better. So that's why I'm saying that the PPC one kind of falls apart. It's not that it got worse, it's more just that things around it got better, and so it's no longer top tier comp viable.
I mean, the pinpoint of the small pulses is immense, but yeah, you can't mix in the PPC shots, it gets too hot. Whereas on that Hunchback with the SRMs, you'd still be able to keeps a little bit.
But yeah, the Laser Vomit one it definitely has uses, but I think on this map, it against a brawl push is just too weak. It doesn't put out enough damage.
Too slow to get into these positions that you want it in, whereas the Shadowcat can make it there.
I actually don't think that's the main issue because it goes 95. It can easily get there in time. It's just when you get there, you only have Laser Vomit on the 2CA, whereas the Shadowcat can annoy with Laser Vomit and also gets heavy machine guns.
Yeah, the machine gun backup, definitely not to be discounted.
So there is definitely a point to bringing a Shadowcat over a Hunchy. And yeah, I can see some positions actually for like pushy Sieve. I could see pillars like this here around Sigma. Well, actually, they're not around Sigma. Or? No, pillars like this one. There's a bunch of them. I think this is also one.
Yeah.
You can jump up there with a mech with enough jump jets, and I think in ISC, we put something like a Blackjack Arrow up there. Of course, that's no longer that great of a mech like nowadays, because we also have access to clan mechs and it gets overshadowed. But something like that has some really good mid DPS can be really annoying to push against because you can't get on top of it very easily.
All right, looks like the teams are ready.
All right, yep. I'm going to give them the launch of warning, and we will hop on into the first drop of the day. Interestingly, on Vitric, which we were, just talking about. Funny how that kind of works out. Just waiting for folks to load on in, taking a look at some of these spots we were talking about, I guess, while we wait. Here's those pillars that I was talking about, and we're in. All right, cool. I'm over here with KDCM. Looks like we've got a summoner, a Viper, Dervish, Crusader 60. We'll take a look at that. Let's see here. Our XE in here with PPCs, the Summoner with SRMs, Crusader with just the smalls, our Hellspawn with SRMs, and this Marauder with basically a whole lot of lasers. So yeah, we're looking at sort of a mid-range push-ish with a little bit of Overwatch. We'll check out those pathings that we were talking about. Let's head on over to Casterian's Guard.
Casterian Guard's going full on receive deck. They've brought a lot of UX on the Direwolf and the Night Gear. They've got Laser Vomit on Ebon Jaguar and Phoenix Hawk, mid-range Vomit. So definitely they're looking at a push receive here. And they've got the Shadow Cat off on the side flank as expected.
Yep, and we've got Red goes to Fasta in the Viper here, doing a little harassment on the side over here by the ramp. They're scouting out this push. KDCM gathering right now, just probably waiting for Jormungandr to be ready to crest top before they start making their move, but they are bleeding armor as they wait. An artillery strike right there on the ramp to hold them up, and Casterian Guard in a wonderful receive position, but a bunch of these guys a little far back, so they're going real hard on the receive.
Yeah, very far back.
KDCM would be wise to switch to cap game after they take a couple mechs, honestly. And here goes the push. Sneck over in the XE, Jormungandr pushing the Marauder, and this Wolfpack making that cross.
Shoney's leading the way here. They're going to get picked apart, assuming anyone can hit their shots here. 75% on that Viper.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we got Zelnega in the Mistlinks, already in the back of Enova and Gwentler, splitting that fire to Wars coming in with the Dervish. Dreadnought about to go down. Jormungandr got focused down as well. Casterian in the Ebonjag tucked into the corner. There goes Enova in the back with Gwentler as well.
One down on KDCM.
And Dreadnought, it is tied up. Casterian looking the worst for wear, but just kind of hanging out. But he gets spotted by Towars and Giggity, who just have him tucked in the corner. They can figure him out. There we go. Towars finishing off that leg, going after Mokar in the Shadow Cat. Shone's dropping down the Viper to join the fight against old Hazu, the 3-pack here of the Casterian's Guards. KDCM with a advantage, but the Mistlink's looking a little rough.
Executioner got leg. It's all but the legs right now. If the legs come off the mechs, the Shadow Cat can clutch the win. Both legs are open on Shoney's Viper.
Sneck going down, evening it up, but then there goes Jabavo. Giggity going down as well. So it's Mokar and Red in fast movers against
the Dervish is the only mech with legs.
Oh, did the Viper
Viper is leg and the Crusader are legs. So it is 3 mechs to 2, but the 2 mechs versus 1 in terms of mechs that have the ability to pursue, or kite as the situation calls.
Jay and that Crusader with all weapons though, so if he can catch anyone, let's see how Towars is doing. Towars open leg, not too bad though.
Yeah, that
still got a very nice loadout.
That leg is a little bit too beat up. I think this is going to go the way of Casterian Guards. They're going to play it out smart. The KDCM is taking caps right now. They've sent the Crusader to go get the far cap over at Sigma, and Shoney's is grabbing Kappa. So, but the 2 mechs for Casterian Guards are also going to get caps right now. And
well, they aren't actually. They've stalled. They're looking for the fight. While KDCM continues to cap.
You know, that's actually probably intelligent to try and take the leg off the Dervish before turning to go for caps. There is plenty of time left. Caps are only at 250 each.
Yeah, both legs now open on the Dervish. But that being said, since they're not moving to take it,
it is going to be a 4 cap to 1.
They are working on that Dervish. Yeah, that's going to add up over time. Let's see. Yep, Towars finally legged. Should be going down here shortly.
Yeah, good job on the shielding.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. But there it is. Just a little bit of movement there. All right, now Mokar and Red are able to go. Now Red over here against Jay. Jay with all weapons. Jay caught a little bit napping there.
Small lasers aren't going to have the reach to get up to the Viper's position with the ER Meads and light machine guns. Just play it smart from Red, and a fairly easy kill to pick up, even with the excellent leg shielding.
Yep. Jay tucking in, though, keeping the angles. Maybe
You know
trying to
what?
get a little. Ooh, there's a
Red's
little
trying to
ledge
find
there.
the angle here, or
No,
they're
the red
leaving.
is. Yeah, they're moving to caps now.
They might have lost track of
Shown
where Jay is.
maybe, or we're just going for the Viper over here. Let's get a read on that. Leg open and falling. The red going to pursue, find the angles on Shown, who's going to tuck in here, maybe meet up
Yeah.
with Jay in the middle. Nope,
Nope.
not going to make it. The red getting the pick on that. We are over halfway on caps in KDCM's favor. Jay using the auto walk feature to negotiate, looks like.
Yeah, you know, at this point, the best option for Jay is probably to start issuing Bachals and see if you can get someone to come and 1v1 you within range honorably instead of getting picked off at range.
Let's see here. So we've got to red.
There we
Red
go.
over there.
The challenge has been issued.
Here we go. Looks like we got a Shadow Cat over here.
Well, that's not fair. They're
Gotta take a
2v1ing
chunk
him.
out of Jay. No, oh yeah, we're getting
This
some
is
stuff
very
over there.
dishonorable.
They must be spheroids. That's not the player inner spheroids is what I meant. All right, there we go. Jay down. 2 legs. First match going to the Castarian Guard.
I
Well
just
played on both
realized
teams.
I forgot to use first person on this drop, so I'm going to be trying to use first person here going forward, but it's force a habit not using it.
Let me see. Lobby. All right, excellent. First match in the book's gonna send you guys over to the scoreboard. We'll take a look at that, and then we'll turn over to Ghosty for a debrief. Just looking at damage, we got 504 from Mokar in that Shadow Cat, 479 from DeRed, those last two, but Jloy Strelok, 412 coming in third there. On KDCM, we see much lower spread, even with that brawl. Let's see, Jay eking out the highest at 328. So it looks like this was largely a matter of a bit of damage distance and difference, and so a little bit of focus fire. All right, got to turn it over to you, Ghosty. We'll head over to the map room and we'll get a chance to look at the numbers.
So I think the main thing that happened is that KSG pulled out the most one-dimensional strat in the books, and KDCM just said, okay, we'll just play your game and come push you there. Basically KSG set up, I can erase most of this, they set up all the way over Kappa with all their big mechs, and actually they had a Marauder like here. And instead of doing the correct thing, which would be, oh, let's just take Sigma and Theta because they have 0 map control, and then you wait, and you can just put your light mechs here and your assault mechs behind the ramps if you're KDCM, and at some point KSG has to move up because you have all the caps. But it's hard to identify those situations, so when they do happen and you end up just pushing, which is what they did, you're running into what is the best receive setup on this map. It's not what I mentioned when I was talking about receive setups earlier, because it's so inflexible that as soon as the other team figures out what you're doing, they can very easily just force you to lose the match. So it's a strat that specifically counters them full pushing you, but even with the push deck, they can identify what you're doing, and then your receive strat also ends up not being that great. Then again, I do think if KDCM had just jumped the assaults faster with even just the mistakes, it might have gone the other way with how close the brawl ended up being.
All right, that sounds good. Let's move on to everyone's favorite map. Well, I don't know if that's entirely true, but I'm kind of partial to it. Mining Collective, which is the next up on our list.
A mic not going?
Oh, there you go.
Now it is.
It may not have been.
Yeah, I just saw that maybe there was an issue, but no, it looks like it's good.
So
Yeah.
mining.
Mining Collective.
Similar playstyles. I'd say it's a lot different, but in terms of what kind of decks you see, it ends up quite often being somewhat similar, though with less of a focus on laser vomit and more of a focus on PPCs and ER large. So, with KSG being team 1, I'm gonna expect mechs here. I'm gonna expect a mech here for their assault mechs. And I'm honestly just gonna expect them to take Gamma and Kappa and be somewhat comfortable with that. Again, expecting KDCM to rush. And from KDCM, I'd actually expect a north-sided control strat. Not a full SRM push, but a strat that runs through to pushes these two mechs off of Cupcakes and then takes control of the north side. And through that, trying to get control of Theta.
So Team 2 is favored on this map, is what the stats are showing out of ComQ. That'd be due to the center location where Team 2 side can shoot in on Theta, Team 1 side can't. And that, I think, this was map side here was picked by KDCM, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they were.
Yes.
So this is their choice to play on the Team 2 side, the favored side. If you were playing range, this would be the side you'd pick, but also if you didn't want to play against a dedicated receive strat, this would be the side you'd pick. Makes it easier to get those 3 caps if something like Castrian Guards decided to run AC2, UAC 2 receive deck again, hard receive. They don't have access to this high ground location behind the Charlie spawn, and they don't have as easy a time guarding Theta.
Yes, it's I think if you're playing trade, there's something to be said about at the highest level the teams being very balanced, but
Yeah.
as soon as you evolve into a more dynamic approach to this map, it like the more advantageous or bit more advantageous angles Team 1 tends to get for trading like start not being as worthwhile. And I think the win rate was like 56% for Team 2.
Yeah,
So
56 to like 44.
it's not an imbalanced map by any stretch, but
8%
we've seen in
is
Comp Q that there is a
significant.
difference.
Yeah, 8% is fairly significant. Enough that if I was picking the map side, I would definitely be picking Team 2, which is what KDCM has done here.
Well, actually, interestingly enough, KDCM chose maps first, which means they chose Vitric. Oh, which means they would have chosen.
Yeah, they
Yes.
chose
the
team side.
Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Vitric actually very often tends to be the first pick for
Pretty much every team, because it is so symmetrical that giving the other team the side pick is barely basically meaningless. So a lot of teams play Vitric first or pick it first, even if they aren't actually a good team on Vitric, just so that they get more favorable side picks coming into other maps.
Now, what I've seen in the
Consider
past
that level of the metagame. That's cool.
with KDCM playing on this map, I've seen brawls around the Echo 4 low ground, with one team or the other getting caught in that low ground ramp area, just contesting this high ground in Echo 4. Now, I don't know why teams keep getting caught in this Echo 4 kill box. It's not where anyone should want to be. But I believe watching the KDCM matches this year, I've seen that occur. And like the seeding rounds for the Invitational. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye on. See if anyone gets caught down in Echo 4 kill box and ends up perhaps not winning based off of that movement, and try to see how that develops if it does.
A heat map of maps would be pretty interesting to see, especially.
Yes.
I
Especially.
think we had those at some point. Love to see
Ooh.
them again.
Heck yeah.
Back in like beta, there were some.
That would be cool if we could bring that back. But those are locked. I'm going to push on over to the match. I'm going to go ahead and launch these volts. Also, just Ghosty, is my Discord stream coming through okay, or is it a bit choppy?
That's great.
Okay, cool. Occasionally I have issues on that, so I just want to make sure that we're functioning today. Here's that Echo 4 kill box that we're talking about, that low ground right in here where I'm sitting. You can see why it's not such a great place to be. But the dropships are flying in. I'm over here with KDCM. We've got Executioner Crusaders, Assassin Dervish. I think we've seen this drop deck before. We are looking at basically a jumpy push. ER Peeps on the Crusader. Let's see here. Let's take a look at what's coming through the tunnel here. The Executioner is running ER Peeps as well. Summoner is the CERN Bomber, and Laser Bomb on the Marauder. We've got over on the guards.
It's full push. They've got the Keeper, Catapult K2 bringing the brawl. Somebody took a rear shot into the Arctic Wolf's rear coming out of the dropship, I guess, so they're missing 5% health in a rear side torso. Hopefully that doesn't end up mattering. But this is full brawl.
Ooh.
And I'm going to jump ahead into a cockpit here.
That's wild. That is significant back damage right there. That is like cherry red structure from the back.
Yeah, almost lost a side torso.
That's brutal.
25%.
Target spotted.
All right, yeah, so it looks like Casterian guards coming around the outside, avoiding that Echo 4 kill box. ADCM taking Theta, trying to find the high ground and find out where Casterian guards are going to be coming from. Looks like they are spread out in more of a receive pattern than a push pattern.
Now the UAV there got all the information KDCM needed in terms of wanting to know where Casterian guards were located.
Casterian taking the top of Echo 4, trying to rain down a good arty strike right in the middle of all of them. It's going to take a couple percent off. Zloy just getting pounded by it. I think he got hit by 3 or 4 shells. Knocking him down 5%. ADCM gathering up a little of the center, trying to make something happen here. Maybe push them down off of Echo 4. Gwentler pushing up into Victor, catching a whole bunch of SRMs and an arty strike.
Yeah, strike doing a bit of damage there. It's a little bit crowded up top for Casterian's guards right now.
Yeah, but that is the high ground you want to maintain here.
You need some angles though.
Avoiding those kill boxes. Yep.
A little bit too crowded for
out. Yeah, I think KDCM ultimately. Oh, Casterian drops in the catapult. About to get jumped on maybe, but he's got some Overwatch. Looks like he maybe lost a leg. Yep, with a leg open. That's a big change in momentum here. All of a sudden, Casterian just falling off, maybe trying to get an angle, maybe trying to be bait.
That's that Echo 4 kill box.
Not fully taking it. Yep. Mokar in the Shadowcat getting jumped here by KDCM's Wolfpack. Legged so instantly. There we are, 64%. Mokar gonna go down. KDCM essentially getting a mostly free kill there for a little bit of armor trade. Gwentler and the Victor going to drop down in the middle of them all. Let's see if KDCM's able to pick up on that. No. Mokar is disconnected, or Gwentler is disconnected.
Oh no.
That's unfortunate.
That's 2 major issues, the back shot plus the disconnect.
Yeah, that is a lot of bad. Let's see here. The red getting cleaned up by Jay and Zelnega here.
Yeah, Sneck and that fresh execution coming in now.
Yep, here's the KDCM push to close.
Yeah. Just clean up at this phase.
Light Wolf, there's that Arctic Wolf, Zloy and that Summoner going down here momentarily, followed by...
Sneck is cooking himself to death.
Time for a tactical nap. But yeah, that was a whole lot of bad luck for Casterians in that. Like you said, with the back shot and the disconnect. Casterian dropping off. usually I would say these matches come down to a whole bunch of small mistakes adding up over time. This was a lot of bad luck and
They've taken Epsilon.
some major mistakes, unfortunately. But KDCM closing that one out quickly in 4 minutes and 9 seconds.
Yeah, it's not how anyone wants to see this go down with disconnects and other issues, but I don't think that was really a deciding factor here. It looked to me as if things are already kind of sliding in KDCM's favor, just in terms of positioning prior to disconnect occurring.
Yeah, I would agree. It just adds on, you know, there just prevents the any sort of recovery from happening. But looking at scores here, Jay coming in with 429 damage. The keeper on Casterian guards the star at 307. Otherwise, very low scores overall from Casterian guards. And KDCM probably about what you would expect for that performance. So, you know, Gwentler and that Victor double D'ing, but with the disconnect. Casterian also double D'ing with that fall and getting legged. It was just
Yeah,
a catastrophe for Casterians, unfortunately.
I didn't see whether it was a voluntary drop from the catapult or not. Tactically, it did not make very much sense for me for that catapult to be in the low ground in that location.
From what I saw, it was voluntary, and what also happened like a minute before it actually got jumped. Interestingly.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to send y'all over to the map room while I get the next match set up to take a little look from a higher vantage.
So I think there's two main things that I think KDCM did really well that won them the game, and that was their rotation of their like Laser Vomit Marauder 2C, which started off here, and when you see that they jump up onto the Echo 4 high ground, you kind of have exactly two choices, which is either stand out in the open on the left and get shots as they have to cross this range here, or you have to retreat all the way back on top of here. Because if you just stand around this corner, try to peek around the right side, you'll just end up getting jumped, and you're basically selling your assault mech for free. And so what KDCM did was rotate it all the way to Theta in this circle later on. And then the other thing they did really well, which considering this is just Brawl versus Brawl, was there was a bunch of mechs on like both sides here. I'll draw in blue and green, or blue and red. So a bunch of KDCM's mechs here, and then KSG had mechs here. And then KSG, of course, because this is really uncomfortable of a position to be in, especially if KDCM has like a mech here overwatching, then they tried to probe on the sides with mechs, and KDCM was really good about identifying it quickly and then jumping it, and also not just jumping it, but also getting out after they've gotten the maximum amount of value they could get. They jumped Casterion and got him legged and opened the other leg. And at that point, up until then, them sticking around was a good choice for them. But right after that, if they had stuck around longer to kill Casterion, they would have probably lost a leg on one of their mechs as well. And it would have been a bad trade at that point. So KDCM is really good at, like, on these maps about picking exactly when to jump someone and for how long, and when also to get out. And that's just what we saw with both Casterion and the Catapult, and Makor and the Shadowhawk dying on the sides. And then after that, it's an 8v6, and really the match becomes a lot easier.
All right, well, it sounds like that's what we've got for mining. Let's move on to Crimson Strait.
Another really interesting map. It's multifaceted. You can do a lot of things. I've seen teams do full pushes on this map, and I've seen teams play full ER large on this map. we have KDCM on team 2, which is, I would almost want to say, advantageous for them if they're going to push, because team 2 has these really strong Overwatch positions where you can just sit at the actual edge of the map, and it's really, really hard to push into them. And you can also, this corner is really great for receiving pushes. Whereas team 1 is a lot harder to receive from. Also because the island ridge here lets you get up closer and then crest, instead of if you're pushing into team 2, you have to kind of walk out in the open across island. So I think pushing is stronger from team 2, but KSG has the advantage here that they can see anything that goes over the saddle, so they know exactly what KDCM is doing from the start.
Yeah, and this was Casterian's guards chose Team 1 side for this map.
So I would expect them to play a strat that is a lot more mobile. If I was KSG and I wanted to full receive and I would expect KDCM to push, I would have picked Team 2. So knowing that, I would expect them to play something more mobile, or even maybe push themselves.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. You know, I called it earlier Vitric and it didn't happen, the push versus push, but it would be
happened on
possible
mining.
to shove a bunch of mechs in that Echo 3 water, not get spotted if KDCM was doing an island push, but KDCM's going to have mech scouting from the saddle, I would take it, even if they do push. It's not a 8 mech NSR like it was back in the day. So they would see absence of mechs. And they
something you see from
together.
KDCM is sort of the saddle scout combined with an island push.
Yeah.
And then these scouts will rotate in back to the island if they find anything there. And they've done this for their 2 matches in the seeding round.
Yeah, invitationals.
They did it for the knockouts as well. So
and it was
keep an eye out for that strat. I don't know if they're gonna run with it or if they're gonna switch it up.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was hybrid mechs that they were sending to the island, like quad ear large with red laser backup executioner. It can brawl or it can play range if it does get the island uncontested. They did have some options built into that drop deck beyond just full-on hardcore rushing.
The ER large micropulse XE is really good on this map because it ends up being a perfectly capable trader. It plays differently to other traders, but it can kind of accomplish the same things. But it's also mobile enough for such a big map, and it can actually defend itself against 2 mechs that are jumping it, instead of something like a Stalker, which, if it gets jumped by a Crusader, is 90% of the time just dead. Whereas the XE actually has a decent chance to win that. So it is a really good mech for making these aggressive moves onto island.
Yeah. That's probably, you know, if it's been working for KDCM, even if other teams have, you know, seen it by now, probably still a strategy you can keep running. It does have some flexibility built into it. It's not, you know, fully dedicated to a single strategy. The AC2 receive line that Casterian guards could put something up high in Charlie 4, like a Night Gear using the jump jets on the back ridge with Ultra 2 if they were dedicated to receive, or something of that nature, and just play backline and receive while KDCM's pushing the water. I mean, KDCM with the island, if they're running some range elements, they have other options. They could, you know, actually send a mech to Theta to grab the 3rd cap and occupy the island, start trading. They don't have to make that push into the water if they're running that more flexible drop deck. Looks like teams
I had a hiccup. Yeah, I had a hiccup. And so I have disconnected. I'm going to try to rejoin.
Okay. We'll wait for you. Kind of have to.
If you could let the players know what's going on. Oh, I'm just right back in on logging in. Okay, that's cool. Let me see if the stream has reconnected. There we go. Okay, it looks like we're back. I'm confirming sound. Yes, we have sound. Okay, we're good to go.
All right, you're back in the lobby?
Yep.
Okay.
Hang on, let me just do some quick diagnostics to make sure everything is looking right. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and launch this before anything else happens here.
Okay.
That was an interesting little blip. And came back way better than I expected it. Oh no, more ads already? We just got done with an ad break. Do I let this one?
Probably because you restarted the stream. Or reconnected.
Shouldn't be. Really.
Well, for anyone affected by the ad, they can rewatch it later in the VOD.
And also check out MWO Leagues too. If we're not in an ad at this point with the delay.
Yeah, I'm still trying that first person view out here, so see how things go.
Right. For this one, I am over with Casterian's guards. We've got Enova with the Marauder. We've got a Jade Kite, Shadowcat, Sun Spider, Direwolf. It's ooh, something. It's not quite correct. There we go. There we go. Let's try to get a read on SRM Hellspawn with some small lasers. So we've got a bit of a wolf pack here, and let's take a look at our long rangers. Pausing on Epsi here, we've got UAC 2s, a lot of UAC 2s. The Marauder with Hag 60 and 2 ER large as well. So yeah, they're looking for a standoff. And it looks like they're not moving off of Epsi very much.
KDCM running something a little bit different here. Mid-range Vomit on a number of their mechs. They have ERPPCs on that Executioner, and they've got Hyper Assault Gauss 30s and Large Pulse ER Mead on the Death Strike. So that is more of a mid-range push deck, I would call it, and then full-on Brawl with their lighter element. And Jordan Munder's taking some early shots.
Trade against 3 on the left side here, so they were looking for the back of an island push.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough.
I think it's just scouting out the back of the island here, confirming that there are mechs back there, and then trying to spot what's going on. Now with that, right, Direwolf has been spotted, so they know that that is not going to be a push coming behind the island. Mech's a little bit too slow for that.
Yeah. Asterian's committing 3 mechs to trade behind the island there. Jormungandr getting away relatively free from that, and dumping a bunch of damage into Enova. A bunch, I say 9%. So not bad on 1v3, but they're just waiting there.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how KDCM responds here.
Wolfpack is hanging out near the saddle underneath, looking at both the water to see if there's a push coming to their main body, and also looking toward Theta, trying to spot if anyone's going for the Theta cap. Not going for it themselves yet. Just getting intel.
Yep, little bit of a standoff. Let's take a look. The Exi here is ERP. Deathstrike is So it looks like KDCM's got a decent amount of tradability here that they can just sit here and trade from the island. Right now they're sitting on the back, keeping Casterian's big mech sort of out of the fight while they focus on getting glancing blows on the wolf pack of Casterian guards. The Casterian guard bigs still hanging out in the water, but it looks like they're starting to maybe consider making a move.
KDCM is now pushing into the water. It's been spotted. Sun Spider's firing on the Executioner.
Target spotted.
Yep, Executioner taking a couple of hits, not losing too much. Let's get a look at that. Yeah, just a little bit of spread there as we engage. What's this looking like? 3 on all?
And Daryl's moving into position, trying to go
Zelnega
legs.
and Javo in the Flea, and Gwentler getting in the mix. Gwentler, here we go. Gwentler's the focus target for KDCM Wolfpack, with the red providing overwatch for Gwentler. Gwentler hanging on there, but Jormungandr coming in with the blue lasers to finish that off. Let's take a look. That was straight legs as they go after Dread, who is joining the fight here against Dreadnought, who ran a little distraction tactic while that happened. Sneck and Dreadnought going down simultaneously here, putting us up in favor of Castellan Guard, who are pulling out now that they have the kill advantage and a slight cap advantage. Jormungandr coming out into the water to try to get some more trades with Castellan Guards out in the water, and Castellan Guards getting away from that push and a mech up, having taken out Dreadnought and the Death Strike.
Yeah, very good focus fire on the Mad Cat, taking a leg and then shifting to the torso for the kill. Taking a lot of firepower out on that water crossing.
Yep, KDCM definitely down some big ones. Castellan Guards down a medium mech. That's going to be ultimately just fine for them. And now they have the island. That was an interesting position switch. Well done on the Castellan Guards here, but now KDCM has a bit of a choice to make. Interesting that they're not taking Epsi.
Darwolf being legged means that the island is the only location they can actually be right now.
Castellan Guard's about to take cap advantage here momentarily as they move towards Kappa. ADCM just kind of chit. Zelnega's firing into a wall.
Oh no, another disconnect?
I think we might have another disconnect. Which may be an explanation for KDCM's delay here.
Yeah, it's a disconnect.
Yeah, looks like they're sending mech off to Theta. Yep. That's rough, especially for that mech. What's he probably down to micros at this point? Yep. Let's see. Sean going in for Epsi here. They're KDCM going to take some caps, try to keep a 3 cap here, giving up Sigma and Capo while they wait for their Viper to reconnect. Meanwhile, we got trades from the island. I'm going to take a look and see what are we looking at here. Yeah, Castellan Guards just kind of trying to get some pot shots over here on KDCM. Not a whole lot of excitement here happening. Castellans just kind of holding what they got.
Yeah, caps are ticking though.
KDCM's open. Yes. However, I would expect Epsi to flip. No, KDCM gave up on flipping Epsi, interestingly enough.
Caps are in favor of KDCM, to confirm?
No, caps are in favor of Castellan at this point.
Okay.
441 to 372. Jay holding out here in the Exi, maybe trying to make a move, catching some of the sniper fire from the saddle. And this has kind of become a little bit of a tradey game of contrition, but something's happening over on the saddle here. Hang on, someone's about to get jumped. Hang on, goes as fast as I can. Javo in the Flea, running into Tuars and Zelnega in the Viper and Jen are getting away. Only 9% damage. Shown also joining the hit squad here, but they're going to be running into Mokor in the Shadowcat and Red in the Viper here as they cross. Zelnega already having lost a significant amount of armor as Mokor goes down. Let's see who they choose to focus. Looks like they're still I'm just gonna go with Joe for short. No, they are switching. They're probably gonna go up the hill to Mokor. Mokor being isolated. Zelnega gonna try to push him from the perch. Meanwhile, trades still happening from the island crew trying to help out Red Joe and Morcar. Jay going down in the Exi finally, just trying to move for Epsi to get those caps. They got to do something. Stone going down as well. The Red looking a little rough up in the Viper. Let's take a look. That's legged and almost dead. Zelnega just trying to hold on, but it's not going to be enough. With Mokor there protecting the cap. This is very much going to be probably caps in
Yeah.
favor of Casterians, I think, at this point.
Yeah, Casterian's definitely on the cap lead here. Torrens is trying to get another cap here, but too much fire coming in. Cannot get that with the Jenner. Jenner's leg.
Yeah, and that's I'll be a kill win here is not out of the cards at this point. Zelnega goes down, Old Hasu goes down, there goes Tawars as well. It's now 2 on 6, so it's up to oh, here we go. Yeah. Casterians is now pushing onto Giggity and the Crusader with 2 fresh mechs. I don't know what the ammo count is. I know they've been pumping it out here.
Sunspider's leg.
Ooh, that went fast, but it looks like Giggity is also going quickly. That's going to take that out. Jormungandr taking out Zloy, might be able to take out Casterian. Honestly, the firepower is there.
Yeah.
The question is Casterian going to be able to close instead? Maybe. Jormungandr getting legged. Casterian now legged as well. It's a leg off. There goes Casterian to close it out for Casterian's guards. 750 to 566, a very close cap game. Legged by DC. Something funky is happening with the internet today, folks. We'll take a look at damages here in a moment. All right, over to the scoreboard. Looking at scores real quick, we got Jormungandr with 714. Zelnega double D'ing in that disconnect Viper that wasted all of his ammo so rudely. Casterian in the J-Kite coming on top with 722, followed by Enova with 628 for the guards. So that that island team putting out some damage.
Yeah, both teams have a player with 700 damage, but it's the rest of the team that kind of matters more. There's others on Casterian that have 600 or 400 damage, whereas ADCM, their second highest damage is a mere 327. Double D on the Viper definitely not helping either. Unfortunate situation.
All right, I'm going to send us on over to the maps to chat about what just happened there in all complexity, and I'm going to get these guys sorted out.
A sad match to see due to the disconnect. I think if there wasn't a disconnect, there was a good chance that KDCM might have pulled that one out. But I think, again, it's KSG being set up right here in the water with 3 mechs, 3 assault mechs. And KDCM have control of, like, all this space. And they don't bother, when they're stalling, taking Theta. If they had taken Theta, they would have, the entire time that the brawl goes on, the entire time that teams are stalling, they're taking caps. Other than that, once you're pushing into the receive setup, they did exactly what they're supposed to do, which is just ignore these mechs here and kill the lights. As if you kill 5 lights here, you win the game because you can just run for caps.
Nope.
The problem is really that, like, I think 15 seconds or so after going in, Zelnega disconnected right here. So if that hadn't happened, they would have probably gotten 1 more kill. They could have. This is now hypothetical, and that would have given them the opportunity to keep sending it, which meant that KSG would never have gotten to Island. But the way it did play out, it's just once they got to Island, it's impossible for you to take FC. You can't really take Sigma either because Island has Overwatch. So you're really restricted to Kappa and Gamma and Theta. And it sucks because now you have to really split up your team to control these 3, and they weren't able to do it.
Yeah, the Viper disconnect, very unfortunate. Especially as it kind of almost came down to caps at the end. Another fast mobile mech definitely make a difference in those situations on a larger map that's has caps as spread as they are on this map here, Crimson Strait. The Theta rework, it really did change how this map plays, changing this where the Theta is located on this map. I kind of enjoy that strategic tension around whether or not to make a play for Theta or how many mechs to commit to Theta. Makes this map a little bit different from the others in the map pool currently for MechWarrior Online.
Yeah, it's a really interesting map because Theta is kind of like super cut off from the rest of the map, so that it's almost always just a playground for lights, which a lot of the time on other maps you have this dynamic where assaults can overwatch lights and help them getting caps, and on Theta it is literally just how many light mechs do they have there, how many do we have there,
On occasion,
can we take Theta, or do our assaults need to play against their assaults now?
Yeah, on occasion I've seen Team 2 put their assaults in the saddle, providing support to Theta, but they abandon the island in that situation. Island is such a strong point. Team 1 is able to counter that with a Gamma, Epsilon, Sigma cap play from the island. So I think there's still some other options to be explored here, but so far, the majority of the teams have arrived at this conclusion that you can test island and you kind of don't really play for Theta. Be interesting to see if that changes as this turn on. Do you want to go on to Polar Highlands now? Maybe talk about that a little bit more.
I want to say first off, I think
Yeah.
there's some from teams. I think there are, from what I've seen in scrims, I think there are interesting things that we might see this Worlds on Crimson. But yeah, we can go on to Polar.
Maybe it's something they pull out in a later round than in round 2.
I would assume so, yes. Polar, the biggest map, most notably, I think this is called Pride Rock, commonly amongst the community. The Gamma Hill.
I've heard the name.
Yep.
And then you also kind of have this area. Notable things. You have this here and this. And then you have this as well. So those are kind of the spots where if you're receiving a push, you really want to be either here or here, depending on your team. Those tend to be the best spots. Of course, the optimal push receive is this. You never get pushed, but you also just lose and get 5 capped.
Yeah, this is a very big map. Everyone looking at it, pay attention to the grid square sizes. This is a lot larger than what it initially looks if you're unfamiliar with it.
Every grid square is what, 500 meters across? So, like, even just Theta to Kappa is almost 1500. And Theta to Gamma, like, if you're up here, this is deceiving because this range on the map looks like just a kilometer, so it looks like it's ER large optimal, but it isn't because you're also 100 meters higher, so you're slightly out of optimal. Realistically, it's a really good map to push on, surprisingly. So, I would expect another push. As weird as that sounds. I'd expect KSG is team 2 this time, I think. So I would expect KSG to be set up around Sigma, G10, maybe extend onto Pride Rock. And then from KDCM, I would expect one of these pushes. You can kind of go through Theta because it has a good amount of cover and you can follow the canyons, and you're still gonna be popping out at roughly 500 meters, but it's close enough that Brawl is viable on this map. There's also probably the best map for cap strats if you're into just taking a lot of fast mechs and running around.
Yeah, we've seen Incubus played on this a fair bit, with a big engine, one for those cap plays.
Yeah, I think this is contrary to like Vitric. Vitric is a map where the mech choices are very standard, very normalized, and but you get a lot of variety in how the decks are played. Polar is
probably the map where I would expect to see the weirdest mech choices. There's merit to bringing LRMs on this map. There's merit to bringing full push with just SRMs. You can bring a full ER large deck if you wanted. Basically anything you can think of in terms of builds or drop deck, you can probably make it work on Polar.
You know, I haven't seen the full LRM deck yet. I have seen a little bit of Narc on this map in, I think it was in the invitational seeding round. Some brought Narc on Summoner and Shadowcat, maybe it was, or maybe it was an actual light. And I think they're running like one ATM mech, but I haven't seen a full dedicated, you know, 3 or 4 LRM mode type drop on this map. I don't think yet.
We ran, so it's usually not full dedicated because Lerms are better the less mechs you have of them and the more dedicated those mechs are. But we've ran in the 2021 Grand Final, we ran Lerms and in a cap strat on Polar.
Was that on this current version of Polar?
Yes, it was the first builds that had this current version of Polar. So
this map's been out a little bit longer than I remember.
Strats have evolved since then, and I don't think that exact strat would win against current top teams.
Yeah.
But
Weapon
as
balance
it goes
has
with
changed.
all, similar to how we talked about the Mario jump earlier, where it evolved from just being jumping up on the left side, then teams started to play according to that, and then of course you change it because suddenly something that wasn't as optimal before is now the best path. And in a similar way, strats always evolve on these maps, even if the maps don't change. Every time someone or a team finds an adaptation to a strat that works against something, then of course the other teams that don't want to lose to that end up finding changes that make them more resilient against it.
All right, both teams are locked at this point. I think that is a good spot to wrap that. We'll come back and see what actually happens. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and launch these teams. Rotate around. We'll take a look at that pathway we just talked about. All right, and we're in. I'm over here with Custarian Guards, I believe. Yep,
Oh, we have a hold being called.
Hold. We do have a hold.
Command coming in. Capture and hold the resource point. Stop any hostiles that get in your way.
You know, to be fair, I don't think we've had a repeat disconnector. So there's that. But we do have a hold here. I'm going to take this moment to take a look at the mechs. We've got some hags. Oh, they are going to ask a rules question. Let me pull up the rules. One sec.
Yeah, just going through the builds here. Again, if there is
Yes,
a
thank you,
redrop,
Ferris.
teams can change their mechs. They don't have to bring the same mechs the second time. I'm seeing it looks like kind of a received deck here from Custarian Guards again with Paramechs with AC2, UAC 2, and then some mid-range Vomit. Mobile elements. ADCM 17, the Q skippers have, or Q dodgers, they've taken the Incubus. They're running your large harassment build on that. Might be a little bit slower than the cap Incubus, but I still expect that it will be doing a lot of capping.
All right, so according to the rules, it is the 13-minute mark that we're looking at, which is coming up in about 20 seconds here before the redrop. Go redrop. Okay.
Yeah, makes sense. So we're gonna have a redrop here. Gives teams the opportunity to change up their builds. They elect to do so. Now we're past the redraw point at this time.
All right, they're going at 12. They're good. They're gonna go. It is optional for Custarian to call the redrop or go. Both teams are in agreement, so we are going to go with 12 minutes. All right, so getting back to this, we got a Direwolf here, AC2s. Again, we see a lot of DACA here, Timberwolf. All right, yes, so they are agreed on the time. It looks like, oh, what is this build? This is an interesting Phoenix Hawk build here.
What I found interesting on with ADCM side was that Warhammer 2C Mole running dual Hag 30 with a pair of ERMs. It sounds undergunned to me.
Yeah, it
Probably
could
big
be
engine.
depending on where it's placed. Yeah.
Probably just a very fast Maul.
Yeah, I know there's a high engine cap on that mech, so it could be a very speedy boy.
Do you think Castarians chose DACA because they like it, or because they're preparing for a KDCM push?
Definitely, I think
it's a receipt. This Phoenix Hawk is interesting. Large laser, ERM, 3 heavy machine guns, and a binary laser cannon. We're going for, I guess, the light show, getting a whole bunch of different color lasers in there.
That sounds like they wanted a Shadow Cat with the DPS backup if they get pushed again.
How does this map
could be
change in terms of how it's played with 3 minutes missing off of the timer? Does
it's going to make caps a little... I think it'll favor the brawl over the caps, unless one team takes a commanding, if one team gets all the caps, it looks like KDCM is going to play to that. So it does put more pressure on Castarian guards to do something with that if KDCM manages to take Theta here. Where we have Tawars and the Incubus taking Kappa, and then likely to rejoin the fight. We've got Red here scouting out Theta, seeing what's going on, seeing if they can spot something. We've got some Incubus fire on Red to push him off that point. Meanwhile, we've got Castarian guards up here on Pride Rock, just kind of scouting it out, looking for that KDCM push. We've got, this is probably the Sun Spider and Direwolf out here. No, Marauder and Direwolf out here just looking for the respawn, looking to get that back up. They're looking for this receive that KDCM is not giving them. So since we do have essentially 3 minutes of standing still here, KDCM now with 3 caps and Castarian guards farther back is applying an incredible amount of pressure on Castarian guards, because now they have to start moving and they have to respond to this this 3 cap lead here.
Yeah, so 3 caps
doing that
for KDCM. That is, although there is some early weapons fire coming out here from the Direwolf I'm seeing.
Target spotted.
This is still extreme ranges, and with the timer being as short as it is, it might come down to caps, just not the 750 caps, but whoever has the cap lead when the timer runs out.
Yeah, and we are sitting here with the ticks increasing. They currently have about a 40 tick lead. KDCM does at that point, and they're just content to hang out here and throw some blue energy at each other. Eats only heads catching a bit of flack from the AC2s. Still ultimately okay with that Maul. Let's see what other pressures might they be putting in here. Zelnega trying to get a scout out here with the mislinks, maybe get a Gamma cap, but there is a UAV hanging out over Gamma, not to mention Red. So they are ready for Zelnega shenanigans over here on the side, trying to hold what they've got and sneak Epsilon. As you see, KDCM holding a mech on Epsilon because that could turn the tide of the game. Let's see who they assigned there. In a second. Map so big, me so slow. All right, Tawar's in the Incubus here, guarding Epsilon against a flea here. All right, so that could be an interesting fight. Just double checking small pulse machine guns, ER large. I think the flea has a bit of advantage on this fight here. And while the trading goes on, otherwise we've got this actually very important light fight over here at Epsi. Flea being run off. So leaving Tawar's behind, paying off right now. Tawar's catching some Overwatch fire though. As Casterian has a little bit of support here from the Shadow.
Yeah,
That mix-up still happening. Anything happening over here with the traders? Not a whole lot. Everyone just staying tucked in.
Incubus is at a disadvantage in this duel here. Flea can outturn, and the ER larges have a hard time tracking.
Yep. That being said, Dreadnought coming in with the Javelin. It's going to be a 2v2 fight here coming in.
Please
I
open
take
both
that back.
legs.
3v2. Yep. Jay and the Crusader coming in to maybe shove this Shadowcat off, it looks like, by that trajectory. But we still have this. Oh, there goes that Flea's leg, I presume. Yep, and
Flea's
the other
leg.
one. All right, that ends the FC threat.
Incubus's leg, though, that might matter.
Yep. All right, so we've got a little bit of a fight here for Theta, it looks like. In the meantime, we've got Gwentler and that Phoenix Hawk on the cap point, starting to flip it. KDCM being distracted by that light fight, us as well. Meanwhile, Red and the Viper heading over to Kappa, looking to turn some of these. Casterian looking to provide some Overwatch there between Kappa and Theta as we get some movement going on here. Shadowcat still wrapped up trying to distract at Epsi. Casterian getting a little bit traded with Jormungandr, but he's just trying to hold out here. While we get some mechs to head towards Kappa. I feel like I'm missing some mechs. Oh, they're right behind me here. All right. Enova also throwing in some trade with the Marauder. Our Sunspider and Dyrol still hanging out here, not doing a whole lot. Jaloy throwing out some AC2 to deny some Overwatch on Theta. But Casterian guards having to pull out from Theta, it looks like, as KDCM looks to push them. Knowing that they are overall a mech up and they have a mech on Kappa right now. That's essentially 2 up for the push, well 1 up with our Incubus out. The Shadowcat, how was our Shadowcat doing over here? 61%, doing relatively okay. Just looking at the color of the numbers there. Here we go, Casterian guard pushing in force onto Theta. KDCM looking to counter the Phoenix Hawk versus Marauder fight happening here. Looks like the Phoenix Hawk is getting a little bit better of Jormungandr with some help from Old Hasu. 58% on that, and here's the flip here. He is now 4-1 in favor of Kells. KDCM will need to respond. We'll need to get them off of Theta. Jormungandr going down for KDCM. This is turning around for Kells. They were patient on that. They ran a little distraction play, and now they are trying to get it to pay it off. Old Hasu at 59%, looking really rough, just CT'd right out, but Giggity goes down. A little bit of a trade there. Sneck still fresh at 74%. We got Gwentler tucked into the canyon here. Casterian moving. Eats Only Head goes down in the mall I didn't see who got that, but it was either Enova or Jloy. And now Casterian guards is up significantly in both numbers and armor.
Caps are starting to run away here.
Yep, looks like KDCM looking to take Gamma back.
Tech needs to make a play here on Theta.
Yes.
But there's a lot of mechs, wounded mechs between him and Theta.
Yeah, let's see what he can do with Gwentler. We do have a fight going on off on the field. Oh, nope, that just ended.
Next leg.
See if we can get there. There we go. Oh, Gwentler got Sneck.
There's a leg Phoenix Hawk with very good leg shielding versus Executioner.
Yep.
Executioner switched to side torso, but was a little bit too late to the fight. Didn't manage to pop into side torso.
Yep. That being said, Jay could do something with this, but I think the Caps, on a 4-1, there's no way that KDCM is coming back from this.
There aren't enough mechs still alive.
And not enough time either. Oops. And they are taking it out on Jay here. Jay versus Enova. Nova very fresh. Jay not so much. Jay halved and legged. All sorts of ailments. No, Starion did not get that. Jay got the kill there.
Light
Let's see,
engine
Dreadnought
cooking.
and Tawar's way in the back. Let's see if we can get that fight that's happening over there. Tawar's going down to Dered. Dered and Dreadnought now. This javelin looks legged. Yes, that javelin is in fact legged and maybe out of ammo.
It's all about the KDA here now.
Yep. But it's only a couple seconds left, so let's see if Dreadnought can hold on. Dreadnought cannot hold on. Saved us all of a second and a half on there. Well played, both teams. So with that win going to Casterian Guards, that's it. We're gonna end there as Casterian Guards takes this 3-1. Despite being 3 down. Interesting call by they were down on time, down with a little bit of a disadvantage there on the caps. But here we are, and we're back. All right, gonna run down scores real quick here.
Yeah. This will be considered a bit of an upset, worth mentioning. ADCM had the first round bye due to nature of qualifying through the invitationals.
Yep. Looking at damage here, honestly pretty even. Jloyan, that Sunspider with 500 damage. Zelnegan the Mistlings double D'ing. I didn't really catch entirely what happened there, but I suspect just a jumping. Otherwise, pretty decent damage spread. Both teams a little better focus fire by Casterian Guards, just to kind of close that out, and then taking advantage of distractions. Well done. All right. We'll move down for a debrief on that. I'm going to head on over to the map room. Tios connecting, joining us. I'll get your logo up there shortly. Yeah, have at for a few minutes while we get stuff swapped over.
I'm actually glad KDCM did what I suggested earlier, which is identify that it's a receive strat and just take caps and not push into it. I think it mostly came down to then after getting a leg on a light and getting a light kill, not capitalizing on it and just immediately going for caps, but instead trying to push while they were down a mech because they had mechs fighting out in the open, 2 versus 1. So it just came down to playing by a set of strategies that were made beforehand, I think, instead of playing the way that the situation would have asked for.
I feel like the onus was a bit on KDCM. You know, they brought a push deck the moment they decided to play map control instead of trying to push. The advantage immediately went to Casterians, who actually brought a deck with a fair bit more range. I think somewhere in there, KDCM had to try to fit in a proper full team push, as their deck was built for, and if they couldn't, then they just lent Casterians the advantage for the whole match. Is it Casterian or Casterians?
It is Casterian's Guard according to tournament.
Okay.
So that is Casterian Possessive Guards plural.
Okay.
I will just call them KSG.
Yeah.
So I think I agree, but also by the time that happened, they had gotten a light mech pick. So I think at that point, having 5 lights, even your push decks on Polar can just run Capstrat. Just they ended up pushing with 5 of their mechs and trying to Capstrat with the other 3, which ended up with them losing both fights. So either full team Capstrat or full team push is what I would have done.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about looking back on the match. I'm trying to think about what each team could have done better, or at least improved upon. I I feel like there were some Mech Lab misplays, but that's every drop, so doesn't. I wouldn't say that entirely made the difference there, but
I think we could argue about mech build and mech lab optimizations, like, even
Until
between
the-
top teams.
until the
for
end of
hours,
time,
yeah.
you and I could be going off about builds for the end of time, but
Yes.
even looking back at the match right now, because there's what, a 6-minute delay on stream, it sort of felt like, actually more of a critique on anything else. Casterians felt a lot more reactionary than anything else, which is sort of what you expect when you're running a receive deck. You don't really have a plan. A lot of it is just, scout what the enemy's doing and go from there. But KDCM actually let themselves get super split across the map. And I know splitting up and holding caps is a big thing, but like looking back at the stream right now, like KDCM sending 3 people to kill a light, and then also that big fight over Theta itself, like it just felt like KDCM allowed themselves to get split 3-5, and Casterian just pick off those groups as they please.
You can see right now, we can see it on the stream, is like KDCM pushing with 5 mechs. Meanwhile, if you look on the minimap, there's 3 mechs on Gamma and like chasing 1 light for KSG.
Yeah.
And even if you're in a push deck, that is not a fight you win, even if you're up a mech.
Yep.
Down a mech in the actual push.
Yeah, which is interesting, because if you told me that one side brought a push deck and the other side brought a cap control deck on Polar, I would usually side with the push deck, to be honest, as far as who I think would win. So it's definitely a bit of an upset in my opinion. But on the other hand, though, I mean, I guess when you have a reputation like KDCM, it's a little easier to mind game and like just know exactly what your opponent's bringing. If I was in Casterian's shoes, I would have been practicing and planning to deal with brawls for the past week.
And Casterian, on the other hand, like they've been around for a while, but they aren't as much of a predictable team, I think. This is their first time, I think, playing in the top 12, so...
Aren't they neutral
I
in synergy?
I just watched the rewind of Gwentler's Phoenix Hawk killing Snake's Executioner. That hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt to watch.
Yeah, I've got that in the first person view there on
If you
Online Leagues
looking
2.
at the paper all afterwards hurts. 1 touch on both sides and on the leg.
Snake was going for legs. Oh,
He went for
my
legs.
goodness.
The leg shielding was very good. He switched to side torsos, but he went for the left torso, then switched to going for the right torso before taking the left torso.
That hurt. That definitely hurt a bit to see.
Sometimes it just happens like that.
Yep.
Sometimes you pick the wrong component to go for, and then you realize that you're going to lose the fight if you keep going for it, and you just Hail Mary switch. But
Yep.
a lot of the times it's just at that point you've already lost. So, yeah. It is painful to see, because I think both Tias and I, we've definitely been in those situations.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know what? Like, sometimes props are due to going, yeah, I made the wrong choice. Instead of doubling down on it, I'm gonna correct. But actually, real quick, what are the weekly predictions for Casterian versus KDCM? I need to check
I haven't
this.
checked. Let me look at this. So it's
76%. Oh wait. That's winner bracket. Wait a minute. Did we not have weekly predictions for this week?
That is the weekly prediction.
76% voted
yes.
for a KDCM win.
Yes.
Unbelievable. A 76% of players thought KDCM would win. Wow.
Since this was week 2 of the winners, or week 2 of the winners bracket, that means KSG is automatically in the top 6 this year.
Oh, you mean
Because
great.
even if they lose their next match, they go down to losers bracket round 3. So,
Yeah.
Automatic top 6.
This messed up my bracket. That's all I'm
I
gonna
think
say here.
everybody who made a bracket prediction, I think everybody who drew up a prediction predicted KDCM beating KSG.
KSG was just this unknown quantity because they're playing the European times. We don't know how strong they are in ComQ. Yes, they finished second in ComQ, but the argument was that they played more games, they farmed weaker teams, or they played during hours when the strong teams weren't available. And here we see them pulling up the upset on the team that pulled up the upset. You know, KDCM beat the 5th Jaguar Dragoons during the invitational qualifier, and now they've lost to Casterian's Guards here in a best of 5. So it's an upset, definitely an upset.
Yep, and now looking at the bracket here, Casterian's next match will be the winner of Aubins and Mech Enjoyers. So
yeah, those are going to be two very strong teams. Whichever one of those two comes out of that match or later today, Casterian Guards would have another uphill fight there. But if
Mech Enjoyers may be a little more familiar with Aubin's play, just because Mech Enjoyers, I mean, with what Casterian might do, just because Mech Enjoyers fought them in Comp Q.
Yeah.
But I can say as an Aubin's player, I have no idea anything about Casterian. I really don't. I have never thought them before.
Well, there's definitely some tape on them now with them having played in the Invitationals earlier in August, and then now having played 2 matches in the top 12. So probably worth doing some homework for both Aubins and Mech Enjoyers once their match is done and they know who they're definitely playing Casterian Guards. There is some tape to review.
Yep. And KDCM now going to the losers bracket, losers 1.3, which means that they're fighting GNX. KDCM against GNX is a matchup I will always love to see. Almost as much as I love to see GNX against Mech Enjoyers. That one's even better.
What are the top rivalries this year?
GNX and Mech Enjoyers, obviously. GNX hates Aubins. I don't know if Aubins hates GNX.
As an Aubins player, how would you not know that?
I'd say GNX and Mech Enjoyers are definitely a top rivalry. Does Clan Crossfire have beef? I don't think Clan Crossfire has beef.
They're just existing.
They're just existing.
Community-wise, they're a good team.
Yeah. No, I really can't think of any other rivalries. Yeah, I think it's all fine. I have beef with Dark Sea Corsairs. I'm kidding.
I think Fjord DSC would also be interesting. Since I think last year a lot of the DSC players were on the Fjord roster, so
yeah,
a similar situation.
But now, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the stream of Ivor getting the lobby ready. 5 JDX against Dark Sea Corsairs.
Yes, that is what is up. Ghost ERC, are you staying on with us, or do you have to scoot?
I will probably go warm up with my team because we also play later.
Yes,
Excellent.
they play after Aubins.
We play the last match today.
Yep.
Against the enigma that is CXF.
Yeah. Speaking of them not having beef, looking at the voting here, 87% of players voted that 5 JDX would beat DSC. And I feel like that's understandable. DSC is a bit of the newer blood. Meanwhile, 5 JDX is a fair amount more established. They got second place last CS, and now with the exit of JGX from this Worlds, 5 JDX now has picked up some JGX players. Grolsch and Dario being the two biggest, coming from the JGX A team
as well.
Jiffy is on the A team as well.
Yes.
JP Django is tagged as JGX. I don't think he was on the A team. I think he's always been 5 JDX.
He was. He played
Was
with
he?
them in Blood League.
That's right.
I will say one thing though. Compared to the 5 JDX rosters from recent years, this actually, to me, feels like a very different team.
It does.
So, I think even if you look at it, they have 2 players from their 2021 roster still.
All right,
It's
we are beginning
interesting.
with our Mac ban here. Oh boy, they have. I was remiss in getting the right links. Where's my?
So what I've got so far here, that's not showing correct, but Darksea Corsairs have picked Vitric Station and Polar Highlands. If Jaguar Dragoons have picked Hibernal Rift and Mining Collective.
Oh, these guys went so fast. I didn't
yeah.
even get get a chance to write this stuff
So
down. Holy
Vitric
hell.
Station is the first map. Mining Collective is the second map. Polar Highlands is the third map. Hibernal Rift is the fourth map. And Crimson Strait is the fifth.
Can you give me the second again?
The second map is Mining Collective.
All right. And then our sides are...
So they're still picking the sides. Vitric Station,
Yeah.
Team 1 is going to be 5th Jaguar Dragoons. Mining Collective, Team 1 is going to be Dark Sea Corsairs. And 5th Jaguar Dragoons is Team 2 on Polar Highlands. That's their choice. So it'll be Dark Sea Corsairs on Team 1.
Just waiting on this. Hibernal choice.
Yeah. Team's taking a little bit of time just to talk it out, perhaps. I imagine they have strats prepared for both sides, but they probably know which one they prefer.
There we go. It'll be 5J on Team 2 again.
Dark Sea Corsairs Team 1, so yeah, 5th Jaguar Dragoons is going to be Team 2 for Hibernal. So there is one team side switch midway through, I believe. Or right at the start.
Maybe. I'm still waiting on Crimson here. Real quick, because I have these things mixed up. Both these teams NA servers, right?
I'm going to double check that
Is
for
that what
you.
I'm looking at?
I'm seeing EU server for the first one's
Okay,
the
and
server,
then
the
their
second one
NA
is
time
the
zone.
time zone. So yeah, both are North America for server.
Okay, cool. All right, so our first map is going to be Vitric. Okay. 5J is good where they are.
I'll pop up the map strat there for Vitric Station.
Yes, please do.
If you wish to discuss that, Tios.
Yeah, one thing I sort of want to highlight here, even at the start of it all, is just that, like, just sort of outlining the history of these two teams, or at least recently. 5JDX probably, I mean, as we all know, they lost in the invitational match against KDCM. Everybody thought that 5JDX was just a shoehorn in to skip Comp Q. I feel like 5JDX probably got a bit of a wake-up call there, so I think that they've been putting in a lot more effort recently to improve. I know they've been scrimming a lot, playing Comp Q a lot, whatnot, and DSC being sort of that newer blood, I feel like a lot of people are going to underestimate them on how they play. I don't remember. I believe DSC did a brawl push last time they were on Vitric. 5JDX being Team 1, I'm really just expecting them to do a control, two bigs up top and the back, maybe Crusader or something like that up top at Theta, just establish a 3-cap, and then I really don't think 5JDX is going to push. I think they're just going to sit there and just try to trade down DSC. DSC, on the other hand, may just... I don't remember what they did last time they were on this map, but I really want to say they just ran over the top. Like, I really want to say that they just ran their opponents down, and I kind of wish I pulled up their last VOD here, but that's kind of what I feel like is going to happen. I feel like if DSC has been reviewing 5JDX stuff, they're probably going to be like, these guys are going to want to trade. I'm not really sure if I could beat them in trading, so let's just try a brawl. But there are a lot of names on DSC I do not recognize.
Some of these players have been around for a while, playing in more middle divisions. I mean, Hollow, House, Zelk, Red Baron, all very familiar. Sir Epic Pawner, Royal Star, Primos. I think even Fire Ant is a name I recognize. Indian. Yeah, so these guys have been around for a while. As a team, though, I think they've been... Did they even form up last year, or was it start of the current year? Relatively new team, though. but the players
DSC, I
have
think,
been banging around in the middle
yeah.
division for a while. Various different.
DSC started this year, and they started Div B with the first tournament of the year, and then that was very clearly seen that they were a Div A team, as evidenced by their placing.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely agree with that. I would say that 5JDX probably just has a lot more advantage of cohesion. A lot of these guys have been playing together for years under the JGX 5JDX name. But I don't know. I also would have predicted that KDCM would have beat Casterian, and Casterian beat KDCM, so I wouldn't trust my predictions right now.
Yeah,
DSC with a lot of shooters, 5J with a very aggressive and strong wolf pack, as well as traders. So we'll see how much that wolf pack comes into play.
yeah, this would definitely. I mean, it would still be considered an upset if Fifth Jaguar Dragoons ended up losing this. I do believe, but Dark Sea Corsairs, they qualified through the Invitationals, showed that they were. Oh no, sorry, were they? I'm mixing them up with another team. They were bottom placement in Invitationals, were they not? Yes. My adjustment there. So yeah, their performance in the Invitationals, they managed to qualify, but they're in the seeding matches, they didn't put up a very strong show. So I definitely would consider the Fifth Jaguar Dragoons to be favored here, even though they are coming in technically as the lower seed in this top 12.
All right, both teams working their way towards a lock. Oh, first team one is already locked. Team two working their way towards it, getting everything set up. Tios, any last thoughts sort of on here on Vitric here, or any oddball strats that you might suggest to folks who are still banging it out in the queue?
As an Obbins player, I just have to say, run at the enemy. Just
Fair
run
enough.
at them. When in doubt, brawl. When in doubt, brawl. We have our map pool is so brawl friendly right now. Hibernal, you can brawl. You can brawl run. Polar, you can brawl run. Mining, sort of. Really, the only map you can't really brawl on in this pool is Crimson. Just coincidentally, I also hate Crimson. Of course, there's no connection between the two. But yeah, I mean, honestly, when in doubt, brawl it out is sort of my motto for this Worlds. It's in a pretty good spot in the meta right now, so I think you can always just W key. And I think every single team in this... I feel like every single team in this league right now is sort of throwing if they don't have... If their strat doesn't have like a contingency, what do we do if they brawl run at us? I feel like they're throwing. Pretty much every strat you make, if it's not brawl, has to be brawl in this current meta.
All right, words of wisdom from Tios. I'm going to go ahead. Both teams ready now. I'm going to go ahead and launch them, get us into our first match of 5JDX v Darksea Corsairs.
And again, I'm going to keep on using the first-person spectate view here on MWO Leagues 2. So if you want the overhead spectator view, check out MWO Leagues 1. If you want that first-person view, see how the players are lining up their shots, feel free to join us here on MWO Leagues 2.
Let's get this map from a different angle to start from. Let's get a, oh well, never mind. We're gonna start. All right, I'm over here with the Darksea Corsairs. Looks like we've got a Executioner, a Warhammer 6D. Interesting. We've got House in a Cheetah, our Stalkers, Crusaders, and a Black Knight from Hollow. I'll take a look at those builds momentarily. Our Black Knight running binaries. Our Stalker also running binaries and ER Meads. Let's check out this Warhammer that I'm kind of Yep, 2 binaries and 6 mediums Crusader with heavy PPC, small lasers. So a lot of big hitting weapons over here on DSC, looking at mid-range to push.
This looks received to me. A lot of laser vomit. Interestingly, it's a Stalker 7D with 4 large lasers, not running binaries or large pulse. And it's not the 5S with the ER large, which on this map would probably be a little bit excessive range. The DPS is going to come out of the Mad Cat Mark IIB with AC5s and ERPPC.
Brower taking some hits as Darksea Corsairs takes positions. UAVs up, getting a scout. No one taking Theta, but Cougar threatening it with the Viper. Mislinks with Dario working out to the right-hand side, dropping a nice little airstrike, which misses. But we've got some early trades going on here. Interesting that we're getting JGX tags in game. You won't see that on the stream, but 5J taking up both sides of essentially their citadel here, and Bacon Lord over here just looking to jump someone in those snubs and small with that hatchetman, and doing fairly well. Ivazovsky trading, getting out traded in this XC. Open in the back due to an airstrike, but otherwise, you know, taking some hits, down to 71% already. Brower and the Phoenix Hawk on the other side, meanwhile, down to 82% from trading. Yeah, we're just bleeding armor all over the place here. It looks like Darksea Corsairs might have a smidge of an armor advantage.
Yeah,
not much
teams,
though, as they grew up here.
Both teams just content to trade across the center ramps.
Yep. Dario and the Mislinks with these heavy medium lasers is really just making Zelk think about things with the Crusader, getting a good burn in there, or almost a good burn in there from Indian and that Warhammer, sitting probably a little far back for the binary lasers to be doing all of the damage that they need to do. Bacon Lord and Cougar just stalking this right-hand side here, their right-hand side. And Hollow in the Black Knight down to 64%. This is just 5J out trading right now. The Corsairs are going to need to make a move. Cap's not really an issue at this point.
Side torso open on Hollow. I don't think it's going to be an extra light engine, but that would be all of its cooling and a lot of its weaponry if it loses that side torso.
Target acquired.
Yep, that is definitely going to be rough there. Poner over here at 70% in the Stalker with an open head and also a side torso. They're just getting absolutely bodied by the 5J traders, and also Bacon Lord, Cougar, and starting to make a move here on Primos, actually. Primos drops down to deal with these side traders, the Hatchetman and Viper moving to counter House with the Shard coming in here at 88%, making some very good headway against Bacon Lord and Cougar. Primos a little worse. Ivazovsky dropping down to support now. Everyone is down. 5J is down, looking to take out the I'm sorry, not 5J.
Darksea
Corsairs is down
already.
Yes.
And it's now got a hard to cheat on them.
Yep, here we go. Monk and House. Primos coming to support House here against Monk and Brower. Darksea Corsairs making some moves. We get Zelk down in the Crusader against, and then Indian down as 5JDX pushes over. Monk goes down, Brower goes down, leaving Hollow, Primos, and House to sort of work on cleanup down here. Bacon Lord and Cougar coming along. Gonna try to finish off Epic Poner here, who I don't think sees them coming. I believe was halved as well. Just gonna go down to CT. There, they'll be moving on to Hollow next, theoretically. Cougar especially gonna take out Hollow. Try to keep this roll going. Now on the other side, we've got House going down in that Shard again. Primos again before I can even see what's going on, and Fire Ant in this Fire Starter with some snub nose, gonna hold on. Maybe will he be able to get Bacon Lord? Maybe, but unfortunately no. Jiffy coming in with the Mad Cat to shut that down. Basically some trade going on the front with a nice brawl close by 5JDX.
Heavily wounded mechs on the remaining side there with 5th Jaguar Dragoons, number of mechs, open side, torso, or leg. They do pick up the win. 5J is going to be able to hold on. They do pick up the win. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to hold on. 5J is going to be able to
All right, and we're gonna get those scores for you. But looking at it all around, we've got a lot of damage coming in from 5JGX, and that was the trading that we saw. They're just out trading DSC, and then they just wait for something to pounce or to pounce on them and countered, keeping DSC's damage relatively low. So I'll throw you over to the scoreboard for a little bit so you can see some of the detailed stats, and then we'll turn it over to Tios for some chat about what happened and what we are looking forward to.
Yeah, so pulling up the map here.
All right, headed on over the map to Tios. You still with us?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Well, I would like to say that my brawling prediction was woefully wrong. Yeah, both teams just honestly ran top center. DSC had a bit more of a laser vomit heavy deck, and 5JD had a bit of a mix of vomit and Daka. Honestly, I really feel like this match just went down to DSC taking too much early damage and not winning their trades. Both decks were fine, both strats were fine. If I were DSC, I would have pressed the advantage a little more with Vomit, just knowing that you can out-trade a lot of the Daka boats. But really, it just felt like DSC wasn't winning their trades. There wasn't I don't think that there was a mech lab loss or anything related to that. I just think that DSC needs to improve their ability to get early damage, improve their trading ability, and that's all that's all they need to win. I think these matches were pretty much mirror as far as their strats go. The decks varied a little bit, but yeah, just too much early damage in the favor of 5JD.
One question I'd like to pop up here if you would cover it. There was a drop down by 5th Jaguar Dragoons on one of their mechs from high ground position into the low ground, which I found an interesting move to voluntarily take the low ground.
Well, if you watched the 5JDX's mediums, they were actually wrapping around and getting cheeky angles a fair amount, which I think is a perfectly valid strat as long as your mediums are smart enough to not get caught out. So, say, Hatchetman and Phoenix Hawk poke in, get one or two shots off with their snubs, and then immediately bail and back off. That is a very powerful way to just sort of destabilize the mechs up top. And how do I put this? When DSC dropped to fight them, I don't want to say it was a mistake, because DSC was not winning their trades up top. So if you're not winning your trades, you have to change something up. So DSC dropping to brawl may have been the smarter play, but it sort of felt like DSC dropping was the beginning of the end there. It sort of felt like they gave 5JD the absolute control of the match. I would say 5JD was in control for a lot of it, but I would say 5JD's low ground plans felt more like calculated wide angles.
Okay.
And DSC's low ground plans felt like more desperation. We need to drop and kill something. Of which, yeah, they did definitely get 3 kills on the low ground, but I feel like the moment that they did, they just gave 5JD full control.
So going forward, if it's an issue with Dark Sea Corsairs maybe not being able to trade evenly against JGX, if they're just continuously getting out traded, which kind of looked like the case here to me, what kind of adjustment would they be able to make on these other maps?
I
mean, if you know your opponents just shoot better than you, do you just brawl rush them, or do you?
Well, actually, we've got Team 1 locked at this point, so let's push on to mining, and we can discuss exactly that, maybe with a little more focus on it on the map. That might help answer that question on what can you do.
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm not confident in beating my opponent in trades, I am definitely going to try. Cap strats don't work on mining. Mining is too small of a map to cap strat, so I really think that DSC's best option is just a balls to the wall brawl. Though, brawling on mining is an interesting thing. Mining's definitely one of those maps where there's not a lot of new tech, just because it's been around for so long. But I think, oop, that's the wrong color. I think if I was DSC, I would honestly just go over Citadel line, Gamma, Epsi, push, and wrap in. I know 5JDX likes to brawl on this map. I know it's a very common choice for them. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they were going to brawl here, but I feel like if I was DSC, I would just push over Epsilon Gamma side, and then if 5JDX wraps around Sigma side here and tries to control, DSC just needs to get the 3 cap and hold. But a brawl sitting on 3 cap if the enemy tries to kite, I really feel like that's the type of strat DSC needs in order to beat 5JDX here. Because as last match showed, straight up trading is not really the best play.
All right, and actually, let's see if that let's see if they come to the same conclusions. We're gonna go ahead and launch this match. Both teams are ready, so off we go. Thank you, Tios.
That being said, though,
yes,
I'm also not a favor of rewriting strats on the fly. I feel like writing strats the minute of the match is how you lose every game. So there's a very solid chance that even after losing drop 1, DSC may do the same thing and just stick to their guns, which I will fully respect.
Yeah, I would agree with that. My time with DPS and every time someone's like, why don't we change this strat? Every single time it's like the day of or the day before it goes poorly. There's definitely something to that. All right, waiting for the teams to load in. I hear the music. That was quick. All right, I am... Which side am I on? I am on 5J side. All right, so we've got Catapult A1. There's our 6T, Viper F, some Kit Foxes. What are we looking at here? SRM Bomber on the Catapult. Binaries and Smalls on that Crusader. Hang on. There we go. That's what we're missing. And then we've got Overwatch, Marauder, Heavy, Large, and Mediums. Exy with the ER peeps. Let's see what the Summoner is. Summoner is SRM. So 5J is just going to do a push here. Absolutely. And off they go. They're almost to Theta using their open side. What do we got on DSC side?
Darkseid Corsair's got a number of Pop-Tart mechs. Summoner is ERPPC. Executioner is triple ERPPC. Rival, Crusader, and the Firestarter all have some PPCs of one type or another. So I'm expecting more of a trading setup here.
Target.
5J not taking Epsilon. Not to draw attention, but they are spotted. They're absolutely spotted by what would have been up there? The Crusader getting some shots off.
Yeah, got the spot there with the Vapor Eagle.
And Darkseid Corsair is pulling back to receive as soon as they spotted it. It might be a little too late, but they are stretching out the line to see what they can do, buy themselves some time. They're not getting quite enough armor off of 5J as they gather and move into the push. Any second here, the momentum stalled just a smidge, and here we go with the Summoner and the Light Pack pushing on the left side. Bacon Lord open somewhere at 90%. That's usually like a head, open head. Yep. And the rest of them pushing Darkseid Corsairs into this corner. Epic Poner with the Rival at 69%. Just trying to hold off, and Indian in the Crusader is the first one to get jumped here at 42%. Let's see, 34, holding on as much as he can. Brower moving on with the Summoner up against House, Hollow, and Zelk as the rest of finished up Indian. We've just got a straight up brawl with mechs that I don't think we're ready to brawl. Poner trying to get in there with the Rival, just getting swatted down by Brower in the Summoner. And we've got all the rest of the mechs just trying to hold the high ground as 5J tries to jump up it and push in. Hollow open at 52%. Red probably really close to being halved. There's the half. Housing the Phoenix Hawk going down. It is now 3-0 in the favor of 5J as they go through here. Hollow going down as well. 5J just getting all around the Darkseid Corsairs. The Darkseid Corsairs did not pull back quite far enough.
I don't like that
5J to surround
at all for Darkseid Corsairs.
Yep.
Also some issues with focus fire.
New target
Target
acquired.
spotted.
Yeah. Oh, it's hard when you're surrounded. Like Ghosty was saying, you can't even twist. And there goes Primos down. Primos down. Hang out of the way. Thank you. 2 legs. So yeah, very aggressive. There's that balls to the wall push that Tios was talking about, I think. And just brutally done. It is an 8-0 sweep on that one. Well done to 5J on that push.
Low ammunition count remaining on Brower's summoner there at the end. But they had enough. Didn't even run out.
Damn. So the side that I said should brawl got destroyed by a brawl. Feels bad. Sorry, I looked at the stream and I saw the Gengar gif and I was like, that's cute. And I was like, wait, that's me.
Yeah.
It's actually not my profile picture anymore. Hasn't been it for a hot minute. But anyways, yeah, this felt like a DSC scout failure, to be honest. It felt like DSC couldn't scout the push, and as a result, couldn't move on the map properly to respond. So when you don't know the brawl push is coming, you just lose. If you fail to scout the brawl push and you let the push catch you off guard, you sort of just forfeit your win right there. Because DSC ended up fighting in a close quarters battle in that little corner of the map near Epsilon. They fought in that little corner and they didn't have brawl mechs. Like, they had Gauss ER large mechs is what it looked like up close. Ivor, you do not have a macro to say team 1 5 minutes beginning now. Oh my lord.
You know what? Listen, I'm gonna one up you, Tia. I got one for team 2 too.
Oh my goodness. You know what? If I had to type it 8 times in one day, sorry.
Yep.
5 drops, 4 games. Oh my god, that's okay. Too much. That's fair.
Smarter, not harder, Tios.
Yeah. But yeah, it just felt like when you don't scout the brawl push and you let the brawl push catch you off guard and immediately get up close, the only way you beat brawl is get early damage as they try to close, and by kiting and pulling range and farming them as they approach. And DSC couldn't scout it. They couldn't farm. They couldn't get that early damage on approach. And yeah, that sort of spelled the loss. Like they sort of lost inside the first minute, to be entirely honest. Like,
Just pulling up the
if
map
that-
here
if-
quick.
Yeah.
The retreat position that Darksea Corsairs took from the high ground smokestacks, pulling back to behind this container here. That just is not a good position to receive. The lights are able to play with cover around this satellite dish in the low ground for anyone who drops down there, or even if you stay in this passageway beside the smokestack, the brawlers are just going to be on you instantly. And taking cover behind this container, trying to pop dart from there, that is just not gaining you distance from the brawl, and it's playing into that close range, fast closing range that the light mechs couldn't play. I did not. Dropping from the smokestacks, yes, you want to pull back and gain distance. You need to open up the map, move toward cupcakes or something, not into the corner of Fox 3.
The correct movement would have definitely been to fade over towards cakes. I was drawing on the wrong map strat like an idiot. But yeah, moving back here was definitely not the play. If DSC moved over to cakes, they probably would have at least gotten 1 or 2 mechs open by the time 5 JDX closed, which may have been enough to turn the tides in the match, to be honest.
It was the opening that was the mistake, though. All of the mechs were clustered up in one area, so by the time you spot the push coming, with how hard it was going to hit, there wasn't time to gain that separation. Receiving a brawl is very much about presetting, having your mechs spread out already before you see a brawl push coming, getting that scout early, and then adjusting which part of your team you need to adjust while the other team can fire to cover them. If you're all clustered up in one grid, that just not going to work out 90% of the time.
I feel like even grouping up in and of itself is not a bad thing, but it's where they grouped up. In a place with no lines, too much cover to approach. I mean, 5 JDX can walk up here. Oopsies, that's the wrong color. 5 JDX can walk up here and be safe. 5 JDX can hug the crates here, walk up and take almost no damage. Like there are just too many routes to cover from there, and grouping up in the middle of the map would have been a lot more beneficial. Of course, it's also a little bit harder to sort of react to that. I mean, if I was DSC, I would have looked at the Lance arrangement and immediately gone like, all right, they're going hardcore this side. If they push, we're gonna have to bail immediately. But even looking back on their drop decks, let me go back to it real quick. DSC actually doubled down on Gamma side, which I feel like definitely a poor play, but also one thing I'm sort of seeing is that DSC's lights were a little bit more cap focused, or not cap focused, but like, no, I wouldn't say cap focused. They didn't really fight for Theta, but like their lights weren't really focused on scouting. Like looking at it right now, I see a rival and a fire starter that are just sort of sitting low ground when immediately what they should be doing is just jumping straight to the top. If you are on mining and you are a mech that can jump, the first thing you're doing is going to the ceiling.
All right, moving on to Polar Highlands.
Yeah, real quick, because both teams are now locked. So speed run Polar Highlands.
All right. I hate this map too. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I hate this map. I think 5JDX is just gonna 5JD16 too. Yeah, I really think that they're just gonna run a control strat on Gamma Hill. I really think that they're just gonna set up Gamma Hill. They're gonna set up H9 and and I10, and I really think that they're just gonna plan to trade down. I think they're just gonna set up Gamma, Theta, Sigma, establish Triangle Bros, and then yeah, I think they're just gonna hold. I think that they're gonna hold. I think they're gonna rely on. I think in these past 2 drops, 5JDX is probably feeling very confident. And they're probably just like, yeah, we're just going to sit here and trade these guys down. I think, and you know what? Given how these past 2 drops go, I think that's a valid mindset. DSC, I honestly think they're just going to run up to I8 and H8 and just try to trade. I don't think they're going to run a brawl here. If you don't brawl on mining or Vitric, I don't think you're going to brawl on Polar.
All right, moving on over to the match as we move into that. Thank you, Tio. Sorry to put you on the spot there for the last 30 seconds, but
no, it's fine.
Well stepped up. We'll move on to Polar Highlands, which could be our last if 5J wins this one. That is our best of 5, and we will move on to the next match, which might end up giving us quite a bit of time. So. Here we go. The teams are coming on in. I'm over here with 5J. We'll get an Incubus, a Viper, and a Shadowcat for our fast movers. Meanwhile, we got a Stalker, a Summoner, Crusader. This could be another somewhat pushy bit. Jiffy in here with Gauss and ER Large, Mad Cat, Gyatso with 6 ER Large Stalker. So actually, we've got and an ER Large Crusader as well. So yeah, they are gearing up for a trade. What's on the Summoner? Oh, PPC Summoner. They're the SRMs. There it is. All right, so yeah, 5J setting up for a trade with honestly a smaller bit of Wolfpack than they usually run with. So that'll be interesting. They are taking the first. Darksea Corsairs might be given away by not taking the home caps, but what do we got over there?
Yeah, Darksea Corsairs is running a lot of binary lasers. They've brought an Inner Sphere Warhammer, the 70-ton heavy. They've got a Catapult, Jester, the hero with binaries as well. Some ER PPCs on the Crusader. Executioner is quad ER large though, so they have range. It looks a little bit push to me though, not like a mid-range push, not as tradey as sometimes this map could be played.
All right, we're getting some action on Theta here. A couple of traded shots here between Cougar, Brower, maybe Bacon Lord, and Indian here, who's down to 88%.
Yeah.
And with some back open, that is rough. But yeah, didn't have any support, so 5J is going to take Theta. No one interested in Kappa or Gamma at this point. I feel like 5J has to be. Well, actually, Darksea Corsair set up the receiving line in the usual spot here, right on the backside, using those choke points, but there's no push coming. It's just going to be up to the traders to, well, trade. Ivazovsky moving to get angles with a 4 ER large executioner over here, not going with the PPC build. A little bit more denial over Theta if needed, and they are moving into trading positions. Yeah, it's looking pretty close, but ultimately Baconlord's the only one that's taken any somewhat significant damage in the rival here. It's probably spread all over the place, probably the result of maybe an airstrike or something. Yeah, 5J just continuing to win these trades. JP Django down to 92% in the Crusader. There's that line. Someone who's out there about to take Gamma and then probably move on. Oh no, that's Dario. Does Dario have large on that? One heavy large, so might decide to take Pride Rock there. But Darksea Corsairs are kind of rotating away and around into our, I guess, sort of main trading line over here of Monk, Cougar, and Brower. Brower out on the wing here, just trying to keep a lookout on that flank side, trading a little bit of fire with Red Baron, who unleashes some maybe light machine gun fire. It was really odd to see machine gun fire. No, those are heavy machines, so some heavy machine gun fire from extreme range. And who's this? Indian also looking to push up this flank and move on to some traders. Checking back in, we've got Merkj in the catapult down to 78%. Again, 5J all in the 90s pretty much. Ooh, Bacon Lord taking a little bit of a hit there.
Well, Gatsu getting left behind a little. They might get dove here. They do have support behind them, so they're playing to the side of the cover that gives them support.
House Hollow, Merkj all working together to take Theta, succeed in neutralizing it, so that buys them a little bit more time as they continue to work on it. 5J rotating around, taking those the Gamma side high points there, rather. You got Monk staying behind to get some shots off. We'll see if see what happens here. Indian and Red Baron coming along, about to go for the pick here. Here we go, starting to get some fire on here. Cougar still in the low ground. I don't know if they know he's there. They do now. All right, Monk dropping off the side. Red Baron and Indian basically just taking that trading point away. Hopefully gonna relieve some pressure, but Ivazovsky over there at 67% in the Executioner. That's not looking real great as he moves to get some angles and take over that spot that they just vacated. He's open CT. So 5J just going in there. Let me see if I can find the rival here as he works his way around, Bacon Lord, and we have sent someone over to, or 5J in any case, has sent someone over to take Epsilon to re-solidify that cap lead and keep that pressure up on the Darksea Corsairs. Looking at Jiffy. Jiffy's still at 95%. Cougar and that Viper still at 96. They are holding onto their armor and just absolutely putting the fire out on the Darksea Corsairs. Darksea Corsairs gonna need to play a little conservatively there, which is just allowing 5J to further exert that. There goes Ivazovsky finally. Bacon Lord gets a shot off with those peeps in the rival. Closes off that CT. Hollow also open CT. So here you look at 5J, and what they are doing is just straight up focusing CT. So you're seeing some excellent focus fire there. Merkj and the catapult open in a lot of places.
Yeah, the catapult's going to go down.
Here. Yep, Weapon Master pushing up in the summer. Just Theta is mine now. And 5J starting to collapse. They are up by 3 mechs. And they're just gonna push this advantage and push into them. The tides have turned to where they're capable. Bacon Lord even up here in the rival, about to be halved. All right, so Red Baron, Epic Owner, and Indian looking to focus fire here. Weapon Master going down to his own heat. Let's see here. Cougar, Bacon, yeah, any of these mechs could be on the chopping block, but oh hey, out here. We've got Brower in the Shadowcat here, getting back shots in this spot. So Pona, Red Baron, and Indian just putting themselves essentially, in the barrel to be shot at from both sides here.
In the
and
trench.
They absolutely took advantage.
X on both
Yep.
sides of them.
There goes Poner. Bacon Lord finally goes down. Red Baron down. All right, so we've got Zelk, House, and Indian. Indian's going to die here real shortly, I would think. No, he's getting away in the lantern, maybe trying to sneak Theta, as it is a 5-cap advantage right now on the point of 5J. Zelk being left here in the rival against 4-5 mechs at this point. Indian coming in to scrap with Dario is going to be a little too late, and at 34%. And here's, there we go. I mean, what more is to say? It 5JDX absolutely corralling the Darksea Corsairs here, and ending with a 5-cap. Very decisive match here.
Looks like their mechs were, some of them were wounded, some of them looked relatively healthy there, just flipping through them.
Yep. Looking at damages real quick here, we are have almost 700 damage from Monk in that Stalker, 500s as well, just a lot of damage. There is a told there, but I think what really happened here is 5J's focus fire on that CT just was absolutely brutal.
Yeah, focus fire was better. Positioning, they appropriately did the rotation pullback. But I think a lot of it just comes down to everyone shooting the same targets and a little bit to aim as well.
All right, there's some of those stats for you to look at. Tios, I know you have to run for the next match, but if you could give us a quick rundown before you go that, because we do have, well, actually, no, we're coming up on time, aren't we?
We have like 19 minutes.
Yeah. So if you want to give a quick rundown of what happened there and maybe talk about how 5J set themselves up for that.
Both teams honestly sort of played how I predicted, just sort of taking those early trading spots. Both teams were a little less cap heavy or a little less cap oriented than I would have thought given their trading decks, but really like this just felt like a repeat of drop 1. DSC wasn't able to win their trades. 5JDX was just in trading control since the start of the match, and then at the end the push was just cleanup. I think it was really cut and dry from 5JDX. They just felt that they were going to win their trades and that they were confident, so they were just able to go in and clean it up afterwards. Honestly, I think it was a really technical match, and really I can't like look at like DSC's strat and be like, they could have moved here better, I really think what it just boiled down to was, if you're going to run a trading deck against 5JDX, you need to be able to beat 5JDX in trades. And DSC wasn't able to do that, unfortunately. All right, I do see Bacon Lord's here.
Yes.
So, Bacon Lord, I'm going to leave the medal table in your hands. I hope you give good commentary as I prepare with my team for our match.
Good luck to us.
GG's.
All right, and welcome, Bacon Lord. Thank you for joining us.
Problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. Let's see. I have no real idea of necessarily what is coming up next. So as we get set up, if you want to take to the map room and talk through that match or any points that seem of interest to you, that may be a good time filler as Therex and I get stuff swapped over.
Yeah, you talking about the last match?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna load the map strap. I mean, basically what happened, from at least from the 5J's perspective, is we initially took this cap, and then we were going to see what was going on, and essentially, like, you want to scout what's going on over here, right? At that point, we had seen that there was a Lanner. There was a Lanner coming for Theta, and a Vapor Eagle way far away. You could say, like, there's a Lanner here, and there's Vapor Eagle back there. So we knew it basically wasn't a push. At that point is when we saw there were trader assaults back here. So at that point forward, it's like, okay, well, it's going to be kind of standard. So we switched from, like, okay, maybe it's a receive, into let's spread out and start trading and encapsulate them. So we basically just, as Tio said, we just traded them down. I don't know. Not really anything fancy or special that happened. Just shot them, and they died. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. Just there was no. I mean, it's a big open map. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much to say, and I think the story of that whole of all three drops there was just you guys out trading, quite frankly. But yeah, looking at that scouting and how crucial it was. Actually, how about mining? Because that was interesting.
yeah,
You
I
guys
can
seem to
go. I
get
was about to say if you need time, I can go to mining
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
the thing
Thank you.
about mining is, I took some time and I watched all of their VODs. And one thing I noticed is that in every single drop, DSC favors heavy control over this area. Everything here, right? They love that spot. So the idea was, let's just NSR them. We'll just push on that lower. We'll prepare to push on the lower side of the map, but still scout. So in that instance, we need to make sure we look here. We need to make sure we look on the back of the map, and we need to make sure that we can see here. So we essentially just took our home caps and then pushed in. And once we saw that they were here and starting to kind of run away a little bit, it's like, okay, let's go, let's ascend it. So our bigs go over the top. Monk had an epic 1v1 battle against the Mistlinks, in which he defeated the Mistlinks menace. The rest of our team, the rest of our team went around here, and we pretty much primarily fought in this area down here. You know, I don't know why the Crusader jumped into our brawl push, and I don't know why the Vapor Eagle jumped into our brawl push, because they had kind of a good spot to receive here. I want to say they were up on these ramps, maybe like in this spot is where they were set up. And it kind of was a good spot to pop chart and fight from. However, with that said, it was a Crusader that jumped into our pack, and a Vapor Eagle just jumped all the way in. So we basically kind of got those two mechs. And once we got those two mechs, it was like, okay, let's send it. Let's go in. Let's finish this off. And we jumped in, and we just went from one mech to next, and it's sort of cleaned up. So,
All right, I'm gonna
all the while, by the way. Yeah,
real
go ahead.
quick.
Sorry.
Level's actually taking over casting on MWO Leagues 2, so this is their X signing off. And for the continuing analysis from Bacon Lord, you'll probably want to pop over to MWO Leagues 1 for anyone, main MWO Leagues channel for anyone on MechWarrior Online Leagues 2 channel. And take it away, Level.
All right, thank you very much, Thera.